Hello, people. Welcome back after a lengthy break for the World Cup. I think the boys all wanted to get things together for the second half of the season, and we're back today with two videos. Two videos. I think that we've actually done that before in one day. We're going to do the West Ham preview with George as well at 7 o'clock tonight. But we're reviewing this World Cup, and basically we're here to witness the gloating session of the year from Chris. He's been telling us for like past 2 weeks how we both suck and he's right and we're not right. So how you doing, buddy? You all right? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. The World Cup was good. The break of well, I had a longer break than you guys, but the break was like needed. Um, just watching football. I was happy, not happy, but like it was weird not seeing Arsenal, but at the same time it was good because I wasn't seeing all the nonsense that I've been seeing this week. That comes with club football. Um, and yeah, like, obviously I'm not gonna gloat too much. There'll probably be a bigger gloating session at the end of the season when Arsenal win the league, but it's been good. Yeah, the World Cup was probably one of the best ones. And we'll get into all of it, but it was probably one of the best ones. Some good
Yeah,
stories, obviously, with Messi. Yeah, I think some
it's
good
up there with
stories with like
98.
Messi winning it,
Mm.
obviously. Mbappe hat trick in the final and not winning it. Morocco going far. Germany getting grouped again. There were some good things in the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's up there with 98 for me because remember it was Croatia reaching the quarterfinals, the final with Ronaldo uh, not playing, then playing, and that France team sort of just demolishing them in the final. It was a very that
Sudan Brace in the final. That was a good
the
one as well.
that Michael Owen goal versus Argentina. Like there's a lot of moments. The Dennis Bergkamp goal. Um, that I think it's up there with that one for me. I didn't expect it to be that good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought with the winter, I thought it might not live up to the hype because of the break taken in the middle of the season. You don't know how people are going to react in that situation. Obviously, there's going to be an eye from both sides, i.e., from the end of club football to look at the World Cup, and then from the World Cup thinking, hang on a second, if I'm getting grouped, if I'm getting done in the second round, do I really want to go all out when I have a club season coming up? So yeah, I mean, what did you make of the the major issue, the major casualties? I think we should go out first. I think obviously Germany's a good place to start, and with Musiala because Musiala had, I think, a very good tournament despite Germany being looked at as crap.
Well, that was a good group apart from obviously Costa Rica. But the games between like Germany and Japan, Spain, Germany were good games. Um, I thought Japan were a good team and they have been in qualifying, but Germany just aren't as good as they are. They waste so many chances. They had 30 shots in the game and scored one goal. Um, Gundogan had three shots on target. Gnabry had three shots on target. So they're a very wasteful team, and wasteful teams in cup competitions don't tend to do well, and they haven't since they won it. They've been grouped every World Cup since they won it, and they didn't even do, and they got knocked out by England in the Euros. So since they won it, they haven't been a good team, and maybe in years to come with that the likes of Musiala, um, Schlotterbeck, the young, even Sane, obviously, Gnabry will still be there for a couple more years. That with the Mullers of the world, the Cruces of the world leaving, maybe in the next few years they'll be better. But was I surprised to see Germany knocked out? No, because Japan were a good team. And Japan probably should have went 3 for 3, but they couldn't finish versus Costa Rica. And then another big Denmark who got knocked out in the groups, uh, finished bottom with their group was probably the most disappointing team in the World Cup. Um, with them going to the semis of the Euros and then performing well in qualifying, I thought they'd do a lot better than they actually did. But I did expect Germany to finish second or third. To be fair,
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with that team. I mean, it's interesting to see that even though despite the amount of superstars, that team is aging with Neuer, Müller, Kimmich. I mean, Kimmich obviously is entering the prime of his years, but he's going. Is he going to be that DM for the future? I don't know what his best. What do you think Kimmich's best position is?
on the bench, I don't. Not to be rude, the way I said it, but I don't think he's that out and out DM you're gonna need for international football. He's not particularly good enough at dictating tempo, and he's not good enough in transition to be like DM. So
I
for
think
me,
he's a right back. I think
if,
he's got to be that right back. Surely, I don't know why they keep putting him in this CM role when he's not. I don't even at club football sometimes he just doesn't have that ability to cover big spaces that you would expect from a heavy tempo side like Bayern Munich are. Like he doesn't have that
especially
ability.
when a lot of like tournament football is transitions and he can't control them, then you can't have him being your DM. Yeah, like Mush said, inverted right back would be better for me. Um, let him join the midfield, but put him out wide where he's not on the ball as much. Because I don't think he's good enough to progress the team to the final, like Chouameni, like Enzo Fernandez, um, like Rodri slash Busquets. Um,
Hmm.
like those players on the ball are much better than Kimmich, and those are the teams that went far, or
Like
yeah, that were meant to go
who
far.
think the better CMs in this tournament? I think Chiumeni was one. I think he performed very well. Enzo obviously.
Modric was a dictator from the ball.
Mm. Modric, I think, did very well. I mean, this is the thing. Bellingham had a good tournament. I mean, we'll get into England in a bit, but I think Bellingham had a good tournament. For his standards, I think Henderson was actually decent because at times he was obviously not going. He was the best he could be. Let's put it that way. I don't think he's a standout performer at the tournament, but like for that England team, that was the best you could get because Mount wasn't performing. I don't know what his deal was,
Madison didn't
but
play.
Madison didn't play. Onai is a good shout. I think he's. I mean, the reports have
Field
said that he's a move. Amrabat, another good shout. That
Amrabat
Morocco.
playing that
He
Moroccan
was.
team, and who knew? Who would have known?
Yeah, they performed very well. I mean, talk about Morocco for a bit because I think I want to talk about Morocco. I want to talk about England, and then obviously the final we'll get into. But this Morocco team, I think you need to speak about them. I mean, what they achieved, and I think for me specifically, their ability to defend in a compact spaces. I think that was the best thing about them. Their ability to realize that they weren't the better team a lot of the time, and really grind it out, and still have the likes of Ziyech go forward, and just I think if you put players in positions that they are likely to succeed in, their ability raises to the ceiling of what they can perform at. And that's what Morocco did. They were able to put players in positions where they're not going to, be uncomfortable. You had Unai on the left, dictating play, getting the ball up the pitch. You had Ziyech obviously aiding in that final action. But what do you think? What do you think about this Morocco team, because I know you were very high on them when we did our predictions.
Or, yeah, going into the tournament, obviously, Morocco went a year period before World Cup qualifying where they conceded one goal in Africa. Um, they played obviously against the likes of Aubameyang, Mane, Salah, Mahrez, etc., etc., etc. And they were the best team coming into the tournament from Africa, in my opinion. Obviously, everyone was talking about Senegal because they have the firepower up front with Ismail Assar. They've got Koulibaly. They've got big names, Ghana Gay, even Iliman Ndiaye from Sheffield United has been very good this season. But in tournament football, a mid-block and transition threats is bigger than big names most of the time. And when you have even a good mid-block, but they've got a great mid-block, a great defensive unit, players willing to run, and good 1v1 players out wide, like with Hakimi, Ziyech, Buffal, and then you had Unahi 1v1 centrally. Like the transition was just unstoppable at times. And then Naziri in transition is very good, but he was very good in the air for that goal versus Portugal, for example. And then Amrabat, who was not fully fit actually the whole tournament, but is just so solid, him and Amala defensively. When you have that, you're just going to have a chance. And I did say they were the best team to come out of Africa, and they proved it. They're the best ever team to come out of Africa. Fourth place, first time ever. Um, yeah, I just expected it, like, especially with the group, with them being with Belgium and with them being on the side they were in.
I
I
mean, what a
really
flop that
expected them to
Belgium
go
game
in
was.
far
Jesus Christ.
because versus Belgium, they won. They should have beat Croatia because they did play them twice. In the group, they should have beat them. They dominated the game, but in Naziri couldn't finish his dinner. And then they just had consistent performances throughout. Like they conceded 73% possession to Spain and still beat them. 67% possession versus Portugal, still beat them. France was the only game where they dominated possession, and that's because they had to, because they conceded early. But you could see when they got to the France stage of the tournament, the semis, they were just too injured. Um, a good side, Roman size, like all these guys got injured. Like in the third place playoff, they had 5 of their starting lineup injured. So
Mm.
at that point, it was too much for them to overcome. But because they dominated Croatia in the first game, but the same Croatia team they played was half of their own, so they didn't do as well.
I mean, that
But
Spain game encapsulated what, for me personally, what a league
tournament,
team versus a tournament team would be. I think Spain would walk any league. Out of if we were having a league for the World Cup, I think Spain would most likely over a period of like say 20 games, 25, 30 games, they would be up there because they grind teams out. They have this ability to win games through multiple avenues of chance creation, dominating the ball, 70% possession, etc., etc. But in tournament football, as you mentioned, a mid block that has runners that can run past any sort of block. That's what's going to win you in tournament get games in tournament football because
well, Spain broke a lot of records on the ball. Like Rodri broke the record for the most passes in one match with like 120 plus. Um, who else broke it? They had the most possession in one match, 83% possession versus Costa Rica. Most goals in an opening game, 7. Um, most passes in a game, 983. Like they broke so many records on the ball and punished a lot of teams on the ball. So when they faced teams that were willing to defend, like Japan and Morocco, they didn't prevail. Like Spain 7-0 was a like for their odds after the 7-0, they became second favourites to win the whole thing with Brazil, obviously. Um, that 7-0 did a lot of good and bad for them because I think after the 7-0, they were tame in the fence. Like tame, no one could finish. Um, and then Morocco just take chances, and a team like Morocco, so willing to defend, you can't let them be
like
comfy in defense.
the thing
Like
is,
France scored early, and that
mm,
changed the game completely because we saw a complete different side of Morocco. They had to step up the field, they had to dictate possession, and they almost scored. Like they had a great performance versus France as well. Um,
mhm.
but because they're so young, like with Hakimi 23, Ziyech is one of the oldest, and he's 28, and Naziri 24, Unahi 22, Mazraoui 24. Like they've got a long way to go, and they probably get better, which is the scary thing. Because obviously, like the Englands of the world will get better as well, but Morocco will get better, and maybe they reach a final. Hopefully, they reach a final actually, because it would be nice to see an African team reach the final, despite the debate about whether they're African or not. Even though you can't debate where a country is, but yeah, it would be
The
nice to
thing,
see them go.
and I do want to move on from the but like the last thing I'd like to say on Morocco is that they were close to not even making it. You
Yeah,
almost had
versus
them.
Congo, 1-1.
You almost
Yeah,
had them. Like that's
and
I
then
feel like that's bad to me.
and then they
Like
eat like
if
freaks.
Congo didn't go crazy on the Kwanga before the game, you never know. Like
Yeah, because the first one Congo dominated, but Morocco scored a counter attacking goal, 1-1, and then the second game was at 4-1. So, but
so,
yeah, it was close. Like maybe next time we'll get them. Hopefully we don't, because I think, in fact, now I wish retrospectively Congo did get through because they would have played Belgium and France, or
but the
Belgium,
thing is,
maybe not France, but Belgium in the group, which probably would be
that Belgian team was dross. It
yeah, but
really,
for versus the colonizers, isn't it? It would have been
yeah.
a
That's
game to
true.
be over. It would have been a good game,
Actually.
but yeah, Morocco was probably the best story of the tournament, apart from
Mm,
Messi winning it. I think Morocco was the better story personally, but Messi winning it is Messi winning it.
I mean, before we do get onto Messi and what it means for Messi, I think there's a couple of things. There's a couple of teams that haven't really been mentioned yet that I do want to talk about, like Japan, who obviously the dynamics of their football was great. I feel like they really understood how to win. I feel like their ability to dictate play through their physicality instead of going overly aggressive in terms of um, being running into trouble and getting into positions where they could be robbed of the ball. They really understood that they needed to be that team that run you into the ground, press high, make sure that you um, take advantage of set pieces. I think that was the best thing about them. Um, they really were like an industrious team, and I know that sounds a bit like I don't know how stereotypical or whatever, but their team I feel like really embraced the values of their country a bit. Like they were very very hardworking. They really understood how to execute plans and really take advantage of positions where they can put themselves in to succeed. And you see, I think the main thing was the substitutions. The manager was so good at timing and the personnel he would bring on. He was able to change the game multiple times. What did you make of Japan?
Oh, technically they were a very good team. I wish Tommy wasn't so injured. That's one of the things because
Hmm.
he's very key to their build up. Because obviously I watched Japan when Tommy was coming, and I watched them in the Olympics just before they faced Brazil. Um, he's their left centre back, key for their build up, big switches to Doan and Amada, but they were still a good team. Again, another team that sort of wasted chances, and when they got on top, were very hard to bring it back. Like versus Germany and Spain, they showed if they get momentum, um, they can kill a game off quick 2-1, 2-1 in both games in like within 10-minute spells, and the game was over for both. They probably could have got further. They should have beat Croatia the way they performed,
They
but
should have, yeah.
again, another wasteful performance.
That
And both
Perisic header
goals
was
were,
a dagger.
yeah, great header, but
Hmm.
guys like Kamada had an easy chance in the box, didn't take it. Um, Doan had a good tournament. Um,
I think Mitoma had a
New,
good tournament personally.
yeah, for Newcastle because they were posting a lot about him whilst Japan was still in the World Cup, but he had a good
No, no,
tournament.
no, not
Um,
Newcastle. Brighton. Mitoma.
sorry, no, I'm talking about Doan.
You're talking about Doan. I'm talking about Mitoma. I think Mitoma had a good tournament.
Yeah,
Doan
I'm
had a
saying
good tournament as
Newcastle were
well.
talking about Doan. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of their players had a good tournament. To be fair to them, um, but they
Sano.
tend to do well. They have done well recently. They've got some good players, and they will probably continue to do well because their team is young, like a lot of the teams in the World Cup.
Like the thing is for me, like there was a lot of, I think, as I mentioned before, the substitutions. Takuma Sano obviously so was a breath of fresh air when he came off the bench. I think the goal he came, what was it, like 5 minutes after he came off the bench, something ridiculous like that. They just
That was a
caught in
great goal
transition
versus Germany.
versus Germany. Yeah. And the thing is, like you'd think that it'd be Germany and Spain, but Japan should have won that group. Like they legit should have won that group. It shouldn't have been, what do you call it, Spain. It should have been Japan. And
Japan
when
did
you
win
get
it though.
Did they win it? No, they did win it. I want to talk about. Yeah, they should have won it. They won it. They glad they won it with. They won it. And they won it. They should have won it. They deserve to be. They were the best team in that group. And even when
Yeah,
you look at the Spain 7-0, and you just think, yeah, it's a great performance. But I just felt like Japan understood the mission a bit more. Like I felt like Enrique was just trying to play lucha ball, and which is lovely. And I think he's amazing. I think he's one of the best coaches in the tournament. But as Flick saw as well, like sometimes good coaching is going to get outworked at times by just sheer doggedness, and that's what this World Cup had a lot of.
yeah.
I mean, let's think.
Do you,
Let's talk about the.
uh,
You know? The main thing for me, and I think we'll move on to Killian, because I think that French team, obviously the Giroud going on to again win the, beat the Thierry record. I think that was major for him. I think obviously Killian having the final that he had, a lot of players having good tournament. I can never say his name. Upamecano having a good tournament. I think that French centre back debate is going to be crazy for the next 3, 4, 5 years, because they have with Saliba, Kanate, Upamecano, Badashile. They have a
maybe
lot of
10?
centre backs. Lacroix as well, if you want to mention him. Like they have a lot of centre backs.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's not even mentioning Varane, who's obviously going to retire probably soon. But like these they have a lot of centre backs, and I just felt like when you have the talent they have, I just felt like there were times in wide areas. Obviously, Griezmann had an amazing tournament, but there were times, for example, Lucas and Theo Hernandez, great talent there. But did you read the reports by Romain Molina, the French leaks? The Benzema coming back was a major issue. Apparently, Pavard was leaking stuff to the media. Like their camp is never without drama. It's always so filled with shit, with
conflicted.
stuff going on. Like
They've got or it's just been like that, just with France, even since the 90s with
mm,
Anelka and stuff. Like they always have one player to create issues. Me personally, what Benzema did, should he have got back in the team? Probably not. Um, is he a great player and does he help any team in the world? Probably, yeah. But after what he did, does he deserve to be back in the team, be back with the glory, be winning trophies? No. Anytime he's not been in the team since Deschamps has been there, they've got to a final. Weirdly, Euro 2016, World Cup
mhm.
2018, World Cup 2022. Anytime Benzema's not there, 2014 and 2021, they've not got to the final. Um, but yeah, they've got some great players. Tchouameni had a great tournament. Rabiot had a good tournament. Weirdly,
Like that's
obviously,
saying something. Rabiot is. I've never really liked Rabiot like that, and even he had a decent tournament. Like this is, yeah, they have so much talent. It's ridiculous. And when you have great talent that you can surround, your iffy players. Griezmann, I think, deserves a special
had a
shout out
great
because
tournament.
that left eight role for him was crazy. Like like you'd never.
I
It
think he
kind of
was
reminds.
overrated in the. I think he was overrated in the England game because he was not the best player on the pitch.
He was not. No, that was Bukayo.
Yeah, that was Saka, but I think Griezmann had a very good tournament. Giroud had some games he just do nothing and then score.
Up and down. It reminds me of Arsenal Giroud a bit.
Yeah,
He'd go crazy in one game and then he'd do nothing in the other.
and then
Like,
Dembele is just with that 1v1 threat. He always needs to be on the pitch, but I don't think he particularly had a good tournament.
no,
Theo had a good tournament offensively, Theo Hernandez, but defensively he was getting got at in most games. And then
Saka.
Upamecano had a good tournament on the ball, but off the ball was not good as always. And
Like
Lloris is just not good, is he?
he needs to retire because Mainan is coming, and if he wasn't injured this
Yeah.
tournament, I would have said it was
But the
time.
issue is he shouldn't have to make the decision. The manager should make
Yeah,
the decision for him at this point. He's been in 9 penalty shots in his career and not saved one pen. Uh, He
The
did
funny thing
save
is,
one.
the only penalty I remember him saving is the Aubameyang one.
Yeah, in the
That's the only
90th
penalty I
minute,
remember him
and that's because it was a rubbish
Yeah,
penalty. But yeah,
rubbish penalty.
France are gonna be coming like, the way Mbappe. I think it's actually might even be better for his career that he got a hat trick and lost.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. The thing
because
is,
it pushes the
casuals will look
narrative
at
that it was
those
him.
3 goals. Yeah,
Yeah, the narrative is now Mbappe will die. Um, and if anyone else pulled up, they would have won. But I think Colomani was very good off the bench. Apart from the miss, he was very good off the
I
bench,
think it was a
instrumental.
bad miss. I think that's a very good save, personally.
It was a very good save, but I think with a bit more composure, he goes across goal, makes it harder for the keeper. Was a great save. Alvarez came on. I think both of them, if you take away the big misses, had great performances. Alvarez and Colomani in the final, they were very necessary for their team up
When
top. Like you
Lautaro
could see that Argentina lost so much thrust um, as the game went on. Alvarez was pretty much dying, and what's his name? Lautaro comes on, 4 shots, one on target. Should 3 big chances missed. Should have had like
no, the
two
header
goals in minute.
Lautaro, I will
He should
never
have had
forget.
2 goals probably. But
Yeah,
those players are needed. Like you need players to come on. You need to have someone to come off the bench and change the game. Colomani did that. He scored in the
mm.
semis, and he probably should have scored in the final. But Emmy again, great performance. But Emmy Martinez, I don't know what he was doing trying to clown a guy who's put 4 goals against you in one game.
I don't know, man. But the
And I'm
thing is,
including the pen because he took
yeah,
3 pens, went the same way 3 times and scored all 3.
he's meant to be the
So
best
how
penalty
many?
saver in the world, and he got Mbappe did him. So,
Yeah,
but the
how
thing
can
is,
you clown him?
I tell you what the iconic moment from this tournament will be, for me anyway, will be Mbappe going from that left side, taking on like 3 people, when Dybala stopping him just before he
Oh
gets to
my!
the post.
If he scored that, that would probably be the best footballing performance in football
Like, he is
history.
on a different level. Like, seriously, like he was different.
After the 70th minute, he just turned into a different
Turned into
animal.
a
Like, it's probably the most inevitable I've seen someone be like in one game in a very very long time, because his opposition wasn't no slouch. It was Romero, who's a very aggressive centre back, not as good but very aggressive. Um, who else? Martinez was on something like this tournament. He was very good this tournament. Otamendi had a decent tournament, weirdly, but he just made everyone look non-existent. Like that volley equalizer
Mm.
was just incredible. Like,
Like,
and then he
imagine
scored a,
imagine just not taking a touch there, just going straight bang. I think that's insane.
I
Like
don't
how
know, bottom corner. He was just lethal, man. He's just a special player. I think it's
like
big for his legacy that he did that versus Messi, and he was the best player on the pitch. I don't need to hear that. Oh, Messi was the best player on the pitch because he did it for the whole game. Mbappe was the best player on that pitch, because when he turned it on, he was better than
levels above
anything
everyone
he
else.
did on the pitch. Like no player had that level of quality, and Messi is the GOAT. I don't think it's close between him and whoever people think is number 2. Whoever you do think is number 2, I don't think it's close. Anyone who needed the World Cup to cement that is not okay in my opinion, because one trophy, like 90 minutes, should not change who's the best player ever. Like
Yeah.
it can't, because anyways, but yeah, for me he's the GOAT and it's not close. But that guy could be. I don't think Mbappe probably becomes the GOAT, but he's gonna be in that conversation if he continues like this, because
I think it'll be top
12,
5 when I finished.
12 goals in 2 tournaments is insane. At 23, 8 in this tournament, 4 at 18 years old, uh, and 7 at 23. How much is he going to score when he's 26? A lot. So, well, 20, score a lot in the next World Cup as well. He probably becomes a World Cup top scorer by the next
Yeah,
tournament because he needs 4, and he's scored 4 in every tournament.
he'll do
He's
that in a
probably going to
group.
be. He's probably the top scorer. He's probably going to be on top for top scorer, and yeah, he had a great tournament. He probably would have won. The thing is, when with those games, is that whoever wins it probably would have got all the awards.
This is the thing. Like Emi
He would have
Martinez was
probably
not the goal, but he was given the goalkeeper award. Like he was a
because of the pens.
because of the pens. Yeah. Like
And
honestly, I would have given
Ivakovic
it to
probably had a
any
better.
person. Like, would you have put it to
Ivakovic,
Bono?
Chesney, to who?
Bono, Bono.
Bono. Yeah, they had good tournaments, but when you go into 2 penalty shootouts and save so many,
Mm.
and then your team wins it, you're gonna get Enzo, young player. I would have given it to someone else, but he had a good tournament. Like Unai and Saka probably deserve it more than Enzo, I think.
Mm.
Unai
Like
probably was the young player of the tournament.
yeah. I mean,
And
this is the
then
thing with Unai. I feel like he impacted his team more than Enzo did for Argentina. I
yeah,
think that's
100.
that's
But Enzo was big because before Enzo starting, they had
oh, they were
nothing.
crap. They were crap. With his
Yeah, they were
Fred.
boring. Alvarez was big as well. Alvarez was big to stop Martinez being such a scrub.
Like,
But I
he
think
was not
Martinez off the
good.
bench should be what they
Bro,
do.
header in extra time. The header in extra time where it literally comes off his
That
head.
came straight from the Moani shot. Straight from the Moani shot. They go straight back up, cross header, and he put it so far wide. That's what I'm saying. He missed 3 big chances in that game. And he only played extra time. What did you make of
I do.
Brazil not going
Yeah, that's the thing.
to the final?
I was gonna say. This should go to show anyone leaving your best penalty taker going fifth is always dumb. Always dumb. Are your best penalty taker open the shoot? Set
I
the
don't know why.
marker. I don't get why players are like, okay, I'll take the fifth. It's the most pressure. Motherfucker, you could be done by the fourth.
He wants the glory, innit? I think.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why.
Just go first.
What's his name? I don't forgot the manager's name, but I don't know why he brought on Fred and not Fabinho when the game could have went to pens because Fabinho's one of the best in the world in pens, and he's missed one in his career. He's missed 1 pen in his career, and he's taken 20 plus.
Decisions. If it with pens, with it going to pens, they brought on that. Honestly, Richarlison had a very good tournament. I don't know why he came off in the first place. Like Anthony.
They should have brought on Martinelli and what's his name and Fabinho.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they would have taken pens. Fabinho scores and Martinelli scores as well. Because I was watching the game with my friend and we were asking, as the game progressing, like you get to 100 minutes and it's still 0-0. Oh, 1-0. I don't know. The score was 0. Oh yeah, it was 1-1 because
it was 1-1.
Pekovic scored. But I'm saying like going as the game went on, like it's who's gonna take pens? You're thinking obviously Neymar is guaranteed a pen. He's taken one. After Neymar, there was no real guarantee because I've never seen that Vinny's gonna step up. I never really felt Rafinha probably steps up, but I knew he was gonna get taken off. So, and then they brought on that Fred guy for Richarlison, and he took one and he scored it. So it was always going to be Neymar and the striker guaranteed. So who's the other three? Because there's no David Luiz. Like they used to have David Luiz who's guaranteed. But that's gone. So it should have been Fabinho and Martinelli and then a Casemiro or Marquinhos. Because you're just going to put your centre back or DM to smash it. That's what most teams do. So it really would. They should have brought on Martinelli and Fabinho, but should they have even really let it go that far? No, they wasted a lot of chances in general play. That was Richarlison's.
It was the lack of. I felt like it was a lack of respect for the opposition as well because they left spaces open centrally for the Croatia goal. They were just like, oh, we're going to jump back, and it's fine. We've won this game. We're going to go on this game. Oh, you've got to finish this game out
because Richarlison that was his only game of no. Could tell that he wasn't really as active. Juranovic had a good game actually. That right back for Croatia that game had a great game. That But I just don't like that Pekovic was the one that scored because I think he's been awful. Um, I wish it was someone else that scored for Croatia, but they go to extra time. That's what they do. They go to extra time. They trust the pens, and they don't lose penalty shootouts.
They
Really, they
don't.
don't
I
lose
mean,
them.
when you have experience on your side, you're more likely to win a penalty shootout, especially if you go first.
Yeah,
Like,
and we've seen some awful ones this tournament. From Spain had awful pens, Japan had awful pens versus them. Like
oh
couple
god,
teams had, even France. France had awful pens in the final. Couple teams had awful pens throughout the tournament, and Brazil were favourites, and the odds were getting lower and lower as Argentina performed poorly, and Spain got knocked out. Like Morocco, we knocked out world number two Spain. Um, what a what a performance by Morocco! I just had to bring that back in, but yeah, pens were big this tournament. There were a lot of them, despite like it
and
being
a
like
lot of people missing as
a hot
well.
World Cup. Yeah, a lot of misses.
Like a lot of people. Like
And
it's just
Chesney saved two pens in normal time.
mm,
Lewandowski's last tournament, and he didn't really have ones. Chesney had a great one, but yeah, I think it was a great World Cup, great for stories, great pens, but some big teams just didn't meet expectations really. And I think we should
no.
speak on England lastly.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to talk about because um, I think the narratives that are running are extremely stupid in terms of oh the way that we build up possession means that Declan had an awful tournament. It's the dumbest narrative I think I've seen in a while. Um, I don't know why the Southgate refuses to build up centrally when he has one of the best central ball progressors in the world. He kept going wide. He surrounded Declan with no one. If you look at the pass maps, there's literally both the half spaces are vacated from the centre midfielders
Do you,
and the centre.
do you think it was all instruction? Because I think Bellingham was hiding at times. Um,
No, but the thing
well,
is, if your build up is literally game after game wide, like I don't think that's a coincidence. I think Southgate has this idea that Rice is going to be his stopper, but he's going to build through his central midfielders wide and have Maguire
but
and
Bellingham has never been the type to drop deep and receive
oh,
between the lines, and he was needed to drop deep and receive between the lines for Rice to
he just
progress
didn't. He
centrally.
just didn't.
And Kane had to show for the ball more as well, but they just didn't do it. Hendo did it versus France, but that was the only game really that he kept showing between the lines and
I
helped
think it was the best
Rice
game.
progress it. Saka
Like
was even
when
drifting
we
between the
actually
lines.
played dropping into when we had players dropping in build up, it actually led to actually a semi-coherent team. Like if you don't have anyone, if you
I
literally
think
have
building
one,
wide was even a bigger issue because
hmm,
Kyle
like
Walker wasn't good on the ball.
no,
Um, that's why I think building wide was not as good because he couldn't consistently pass to Saka, so he was just turning back and passing back to Stones, who had an average of 90 passes this tournament, which is crazy for a centre back in any competitive game. But I think the centre backs were scared on and off the ball. They weren't progressive enough. They weren't risky enough. And when we did risk it, it paid off for Senegal, for example. But defensively, like first France, Giroud probably could have had a hat trick because they were just sitting off him in the box. And you're sitting off one of the best aerial presences in the past 10 years. Why would you sit off him in the box? Stones more so than Maguire, but they allowed Giroud to prevail in the box. Like they give him space. He should have scored that volley. He scored that header off of Maguire because he wasn't tight enough. Um, Griezmann was allowed to roam. They weren't calling fouls on Saka, but I even posted on Twitter that Saka just gave him 10 minutes after and half time, which is so annoying. But 10 minutes, Saka just drive the ball and will score. He did the same thing versus Tottenham. I think it was just
yeah,
10 minutes of him turning it on. He's not arrogant enough for the talent that he has. Um, it will come. because other players like Martinelli will be driving at players all day because I think he trusts his talent a lot more, and he's a lot less humble. I think Saka might be a bit too humble on the pitch, and it's beneficial and not as good because he could have had three more goals in the tournament. He had three and four games, but he could have had more. Um, but yeah, I think England will progress. I hope Southgate does get sacked. I hope he doesn't
He's
stay to
staying at the Euros.
2024 Euros. But England will be there, and they probably could have went. They should have went further. They should have beat France.
Like
But yeah, they will be there. Saka had a good tournament though.
the thing is, for me, I just feel like they have to work out how they want to build up. I think that's the main issue this team has because it has Kane dropping. It has it doesn't. They don't know what they want to achieve with their build up. It feels like um, they really want to go in terms of going forward with this sort of we're going to build through Maguire and Stones and have them run into midfield and sort of get it off into under the flanks. Whereas we have one of the best ball carriers in the game just sitting in between lines. It doesn't make any sense. So they have to work out whether they want. And I think Rice will get his move at the summer, whether it be to us or to anyone else. Um, and he will receive that coaching in a possession style game. So um, yeah, I think on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. We will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for the West Ham preview. Talking of Declan Rice, it will be an interesting game. I think they've got some injury concerns. Skamaka and Antonio had both doubts. So let's see. Let's see what happens. We'll talk about it more in depth when we get back to the grind of weekday games. Getting back to what we do best here at Bordeaux Passion, we'll talk about this Arsenal game and what we expect from it. So until then, so bye from both of us, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Bye now.
Peace.